I thought we could chat a little bit about how residency has been going and like what I've been up to lately. So I started residency in the ICU about a month ago. I'm currently on my second rotation. It's like a quality improvement rotation, but I started residency in the ICU. Prior to that, we had like a 2-week orientation. We're basically filling out all of the things to be able to practice at the hospital that I'm at and learning about the system and so forth, and doing like EMR trainings and stuff. Okay, so then residency started, ICU. It was approximately 6 on, 1 off, and the days were about 12 and a half hours each. And yeah, that was that. It's fine as far as the hours. I mean, they were long days, but like initially we were each given 6 patients on our very first day, and we had to round on all of these patients in basically an hour and a half. So after sign out, we had to like pre-chart and like round on all of these people within an hour and a half. And I have never had so many complex patients at once. Like when I did my ICU rotation previously, I think like the max number of patients I had was 2, but starting out with 6 people who have like histories of being at the hospital for a while and in the ICU for a while, it was insane. I mean, I could have used like an hour and a half to look into one patient and really sort of understand what was going on, but no, we had to do 6. And it was crazy. Like my first day was just nuts. I ended up presenting on the wrong patient. That was after, so the very first patient, I really had no idea what I was doing as far as my presentation. I didn't really have anything to add to the plan because I was really trying to like wrap my head around everything that was going on. So I didn't really add anything to the plan. And then like fast forward to my second patient presentation, I'm sitting there trying to like finish my first patient's note and like doing all of that, trying to get a hold of this new EMR, which I'm not used to because we use Cerner, not Epic. And so I'm like trying to figure all of that out. And then we're at this other patient room and everybody all of a sudden looks at me and I'm like, oh, it's not my patient. And they're like, yeah, it is. And I was like, oh no, I wasn't listening to like the nurse's presentation and the respiratory technician or anything. I wasn't listening to anything. And then it was my turn to present on this patient. And then I proceed to present the wrong patient. I didn't even present the correct patient. It was very similar to my next patient, but lo and behold, presented the wrong patient. And then we got ourselves corrected after that, and I had better presentations moving forward that day. But it was a big team, and there were a lot of people there to see me just sort of flounder, which was very embarrassing and not how I wanted to start out residency. But lo and behold, that's what happened. Things did get sort of better throughout the month, but it was very wild. Just even that first day, I was getting bombarded with pages and like critical lab alerts and having to do consults, and I've never consulted anyone before, and getting used to like the paging system and like getting notifications on my phone and like all of these sorts of things. It was just pretty wild. And also I was pretty sleep deprived because I was having issues falling asleep at home, and so we were in like a hotel for a while, and like things were just not looking so great. Anyhow, but I was on 2 weeks of days, then 2 weeks of nights. I guess I can keep making my smoothie. 2 weeks of days, 2 weeks of nights, which is fine. It was my first time doing nights though. I like to put frozen berries in. So it was my first time doing nights. Initially days, then nights. And initially nights were going pretty great. I actually didn't have any new admits my very first night. Somehow I got very lucky. And I was super scared because it was my first night and I had to do the first night alone. There were no other residents. It was just me and an attending. And I somehow got very lucky though. There were no new admits. I just had to answer to pages and like do some other random things throughout the night. So that was fine. The rest of the nights ended up being a lot busier than anticipated. There were usually a number of admits and there were a lot of things like patients would decompensate. Like people needed art lines, lots of different things people needed to be did they need to be intubated at night? I don't remember if that happened, but there were codes, there was a lot of stuff that happened. And it was nuts, it was wild. And I think that I wasn't quite prepared, I think, in residency to be having difficult conversations with families as quickly as I did, like showing them CT scans of their family members' liver mets that came from a likely pancreatic cancer, and like, you know, having these hard conversations. That was definitely a first. The other thing, of course, is like performing death exams, and like that was just kind of a wild experience to be doing so early. I guess sort of on top of that, like once I finished nights, I'm now on a different rotation, but like switching back to days was interesting. I would want to sleep like a lot. And I've been studying for boards. So I've been studying for boards. Actually, I started in like February, March, I think. I started doing UWorld. So before residency even started, I was finished with UWorld, which is great. I wanted to be able to take boards early. And so yeah, I finished UWorld beforehand. So then during ICU, I was trying to go through my UWorld incorrects. And then I made the decision that I'm just going to take level 3. I'm not going to take step 3. The reason being, they're both 2-day exams, and you have to take time off to take the exams. For one exam, you get to use GME time. So is that what it's called, GME or CME? I don't know. Anyway, I get like excused time off for my rotation to take the exam. But I would need to take vacation to do the other exam, and I would need to pay for it myself. So just sort of a lot of barriers. And from what it sounds like, even if I were interested to go into a fellowship for anesthesia, it sounds like step 3 isn't really at the top of the priority list in determining if they want to interview you or whatever. So I just made the decision to go with level 3. So I've been doing like this CDM cases thing, which is like CSS cases, but it's the DO version. I've been doing that. And then I did like a ComSay a couple of days ago. And let's see, what else have I been doing to prepare? Yeah, other than that, I'm just gonna be reviewing like OMM and some other random things. I just feel like for this exam, I haven't had as much time to prepare as I would have liked. I think a lot of people share the same sentiment with this exam. It's just a really busy time, and like I'm technically in dedicated right now since I take my first day of the exam in a week, and I'm technically in dedicated, but I have other responsibilities. I'm on backup call right now, which means I could get called in at any point 24/7. Up until the day before my exam, I requested vacation that day, just because we need to travel for my exams, which I'm taking out of the country. Wild. So anyway, I'm on backup call, and then I also have other responsibilities for the rotation that I'm currently on. I have meetings I have to go to, I have assignments that I have to do, and I just wish that I could prepare more than I have prepared, though I feel like I'm in a pretty good place, and I feel like, you know, a lot of people aren't able to finish UWorld. I had the luxury of starting early and being able to do it during like my final rotations in med school. So that makes things easier. So I feel like I'm in an okay place, but I feel like I never think that I'm actually in an okay place. So I'm still stressed, but I think it'll be okay. I think my biggest struggle right now is with the CDM cases. So, oh, I forgot to say, I also have been using TrueLearn ComBank for like the DO, the OMM questions, and then they have these multi-part clinical decision-making cases as well. So I've been doing those. I'm almost done with those, but I feel like my hardest struggle right now is with those CDM cases. So basically they'll be like, okay, there's this patient with blah, 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 blah. What do you want to do next? And you can type like, I want to get a CBC, CMP, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be like, okay, great. You actually needed to do this, this, and this. And I feel like it's just one of those scenarios of trying to read their minds at times, of knowing exactly what is the most appropriate thing to be ordering. And then other times I'll be good. I feel like it goes like, either I did really well on the case or not so great on the case. And there's not a lot of in between. And that scares me a little bit because I'm like, well, what if I get to the exam and it's a bunch of cases that I just happen to not do so great on? I would like to have a little bit more consistently high performance on the CDM cases. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm a week out. I'm going to do more. The first day is just multiple choice, and then the second day is part CDM cases and then part multiple choice. So yeah, I'm actually taking the exam in 2 different locations that we need to travel for both. And yeah, I think it should be okay. It's gonna be really nice to just be over with this sort of phase. It's felt like a lot of pressure to study for boards during like my first couple of rotations, and I chose to make it this way because I felt like it was better for me to just, take the test and get it over with rather than sort of delaying it and then having to prepare a bunch during residency. I thought for me, if I could do the brunt of the work before residency, that would be better. Part of that is because when I'm in my rotation, I don't want to have on the back of my mind like, oh, I need to go do questions, or I need to go home as fast as possible to go do questions. I want to be available, which includes not only physically available, but mentally available. And I feel like when I have an exam coming up, there's something in my brain that feels like it needs to be preparing at all costs, sort of. So I just felt like it was better for me to try to take the exam early. I don't regret at all studying during the end of med school. I've read on Reddit the different threads, and people go so back and forth. They're like, oh, absolutely take step 3 or level 3 before residency starts if you can, or at the beginning, because you don't want to have to deal with it later. And then there's this other camp of people that's like, enjoy your free time while you have it. I didn't study all of the time. I studied a good amount of time, but I also felt like I had a good amount of time to like relax and enjoy having free time. And it actually worked well for me having structure. So yeah, I feel like it went okay, and I don't regret it at all. The thing that's challenging, I guess, for me right now is that I'm the only person that I'm aware of in my program that is like going to be taking level so early. I think there might have been one person who took it before residency started or like very early on, but it's a little bit isolating to be the only one. And I've said no to things to like spend time with people. And I feel like now is kind of the time where people are getting to know each other and sort of, having time to bond over what the first month or 2 of residency has been like. But I feel like I need to be studying sort of any chance that I get. And also the weather is beautiful right now, and part of me just wants to be out enjoying it and not worrying about this. But I think it's going to be better in the long run. I think that it's absolutely going to be worth it. It's just that it's a bit of a struggle right now, and it's sort of stressing me out right now. And it was really tough trying to do this on top of the ICU rotation and just like all of the sort of emotional draining and physical draining that was. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. In the meantime, I'm going to blend my water and greens and berries in this blend jet that's a little past its prime. And then I'm gonna go study and do some CDM cases and probably work on my quality improvement stuff for a little bit. And that's kind of gonna be it for the day. Basically it for the next several days. I have 5 more days of studying before my exam. I'm gonna take the day off beforehand, not only because we need to travel for it, but also just because I think it's good for me to take a breather the day before. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to utilize my time well. And I know that this season of life is coming to an end. There will be more board exams out there, but I'm almost done with the NBOME series, which feels good. It feels pretty good. So yeah, if you're out there and you just started residency and things are pretty tough right now, I can completely relate to you. The ICU is rough. Hang in there. Residency, I feel like, is just going to be an up and down experience of you're going to have some good rotations, you're going to have some bad rotations, and at the end of the day, we're going to get through. And yeah, just hang in there, and we'll see you in the next video.